Now to some business news. South Africa's Finance Minister Tito Mbowene's fiscal targets continue to look in jeopardy as trade unions said on Sunday that they flatly refuse to agree to revisit 2020 wage increases ahead of crucial government, ANC and Labour meetings holding today. President Cyril Ramaphosa will meet Labour and business leaders at their standing monthly meeting in the President's Council at Nedlac, which will be followed immediately by the standing weekly meeting of the ANC's National Working Committee. Well, Rise Play Chief Executive Officer Collins Khumalo now joins us here to discuss South Africa's recent challenges with its budget. Fade, we should also add that Mr. Khumalo...
Indeed, he is a South African and understands the economic dynamics of that country. Good to have you join us.
No, thank you for having me.
All right, let's go straight into it now. Now, trade unions say there is nothing to discuss concerning their wages. What do you say to that?
Well, technically speaking, they're correct. There is an agreement in place, and that agreement is in its last 3 years, and therefore, from that principle perspective, they're right. However, one needs to look at it in a much broader context, and basically saying is, you can be right, but is this the right thing for the country? And I think that should be the main question that people should be responding to, and the union should be responding to as well.
You know, critics have always said that the ANC has always sold the dummy in whatever it is. They say it's not done enough in the fight against corruption, but has rather been milking salary courts as fiscal quick wins. How do you see this? How does this sit with you?
Look, I think we all know that there has been lots of large-scale corruption that has happened in South Africa. And there's a commission of inquiry that's currently trying to deal with that particular situation and a particular problem. But the reality of the matter is that the issue of state or employees' salaries has always been an issue that has been uppermost, at least in the last 3 or 4 ministers of public service and administration, to say, how does one manage the size of the salaries, and therefore how one needs to deal with it. And I think at this point in time, that challenge still has to be resolved. And I mean, it's one of the biggest contributor to South Africa's budget, and therefore one needs to say, how do we really deal with the size of the deficit that the South African economy is facing at this stage? And I think the Minister of Finance looked at it and says, this is the one problem. If we can get our handle on, we can be able to at least address the budget deficit. And I guess that's why he took the plunge.
Okay, so how do you see today's meeting with Labour going?
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, you can't go to your constituency and say to them, you know what, we've got to take this one for the country. And therefore, they need to be seen to be pushing back as hard as possible. The question is there room for any pushback? And if that room is there, where is that room? And if you've got your biggest cut, and I mean, if you boil it down to a household, you sit down in your house and you look at it and say, these are my costs, this is how much money I'm spending. The first question is, where do I need to cut if I really want to make sure that my budget balances? And at times you have to make the tough decisions. And I guess the Minister of Finance has made a tough decision. I guess it is now up to the courage of the union leaders to go and sell it to their members and say, guys, we're part of the governing party in South Africa, and maybe we should take this one for the team.
Yeah.
You know?
Indeed, and this does put a lot of pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa, who has promised, better wages, jobs, improved economy. Any thoughts on how President Ramaphosa can put the fiscals in a better position and shape?
There is a lot of lack of confidence in the South African market. And that lack of confidence translates to lack of investment by local businesses, as well as foreign direct investment coming into the country. And by dealing with the issue of confidence in the economy, the president can make a massive statement. And I think South Africa, like many other economies on the continent, has one big challenge. There is a massive differences of opinion within the ruling party itself, not outside, within the ruling party in terms of what I would call ideological differences. And once you deal with those ideological differences, then one would be able to make some positive headway. And those ideological differences, if you're sitting in a household and your wife believes in capitalism and I'm the husband, I believe in communism, we'll never be able to make some massive headway in terms of solving the problems. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that is facing the ANC. And I think that the ANC needs to act with courage. The unions need to act with courage for us to be able to come out of this situation as a country, come out positively and be able to move forward.
How would you describe the ANC since the very first president, that's Nelson Mandela, black president of the country? Do you think the ANC has done much? Have they progressed? Have they done anything tangible? Would you say? Yeah.
Look, as I said, I think earlier on, the ANC has done a lot. And it has made massive strides in a lot of ways. They've also made a lot of mistakes. However, I think the bigger question at this point in time, and for me, fundamentally, I think the issue is there harmony within the ANC in terms of which economic policy they should be pursuing for the country? There is no harmony in as far as that is concerned.
Well, besides the lack of harmony in the ANC, do you think South Africans should probably look for another party, a better party, another party to probably lead the country?
Is there another party?
Well, there's
That's a fundamental question.
You know,
is there another party? Let's take on that saddle.
If you look at the history of South Africa and you look and you say, is there realistically an alternative? There is no alternative.
There's no alternative.
There is no alternative. And I think that's fundamentally, that's one of the biggest challenges that faces a democracy like ours, where there is no legitimate alternative. The other alternatives that are out there, in my mind, they're just blowing air.
Blowing air, opposition parties across Africa. Thank you so much, Collins Khumalo, who is the Rise Play Chief Executive Officer, for coming on the Rise Africa today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being
Okay,
here.
thank you for having me.